Testing, test. Starting a couple minutes, guys. Just gotta ride through some bad frame drops, which is annoying. Yo. Welcome to the stream, guys. Welcome to Sunday. The air is awash. Cigarette smoke and tons of cups of coffee. As we are remaining to get to the bottom of the damn mystery that we have been trying to figure out for the past stream and a half. So who are the secret Roottrees? Who's had the affairs? And who is entitled to a lot of money? That's what we're trying to figure out right now. Because unfortunately, the Roottrees are still dead. Well, some of them are. What we're trying to find out is maybe there are more of them than we had anticipated. So last time, at the end of last stream, we figured out quite a few people who Guy Hudson, the third president of the company in the late 70s, had an affair with. So currently we've sussed it out that the answer that he had an affair with Susan Ford, who is a principal at a local school for the deaf, and was previously his interpreter for their adventures. Adventures is a funny term for it. Business trips to establish more factories in China, Brazil, and France, which also happened to yield affairs with Sonia Alves, who is a media mogul in Brazil, Jinyu Lang, who is who took over the Lang Thai company in China, and Christine Farrow, who is Christine Garland, or as she is now known, Christine Garland, who was his secretary, who would leave to start a restaurant in Boston with her two sons here. So currently we're in the process of trying to get photos for these four mysterious affairs, and that's been the thing that we've been really struggling with at the moment. We also have the matter of Miracle's affairs, which we've sort of sussed out. It's really the Mark Clementine's children and his grandchildren. His grandchild that is still at large. But I think we're going to come back to that. And then we have Elias Rootree as well, who had an affair with Elizabeth Cravensworth, we believe, that yielded another secret Rootree. So I think currently our plan is to figure these out and to get these photos, and hopefully we're going to get that done in the next 3 hours, but who knows. So I guess where do we start then today? I think that's going to be our... I'm trying to come in with this with like a new attitude, like sort of a really determined can-do sort of, we can do this, we got this, we know, well, we're smart people, we can all figure this out, right? I am giving myself very credit when I'm saying I'm a smart person. I am not a smart person. So what's the best place to start? So ultimately we're going to need photos of these 4 women. Sonia Alves is unfortunately very private, so that's going to be really difficult. That's one that's going to be really difficult to look up. Jinyu Lang went to she stayed in China, so we kind of ideally what we want is we need to find some evidence of his visit, of Guy's visits, and if there's any like news clippings or photo opportunities that were taken of him with these people during the time, which feels weird. There must be, and we just can't find. So why don't we have a look and go back through some of our stuff that we've found before. Let's look through some of the evidence we have and see if we can maybe figure out something from these reminders, or 6 pieces, or chef's signature maybe. So we know that so this obviously most people realise it's a Sistine Chapel plan for the Sistine Apple, but it's actually a Stephen and Christine like portmanteau. Which obviously helps out a lot, and once we get her locked, we will have that sorted. So potentially, the elder son could be a secret Rootree. I don't think there's anything here that we haven't already sort of established or we figured out. And I think that once it gets locked in, we'll have this information will disappear. This intuition will disappear. So let's go back to our evidence. Mines are still on 5, so I wonder if have we looked this actual book up? I wonder if it's worth having a look at this. Who do we say the book was by? Okay, it's a family man. Best Roottrees, a very policy book about Elias Roottrees. Very few copies of the original, published in 1920, but it was recently published at the same publishing company that printed Lawrence Dice for School. Seems they wished to capitalize on Roottrees mania. It did not work. Cool. Well, it seems it has been updated since the original game, so that's good. And that's by Bess Williams. Are you printing an book about Elias Roottrees? It's blatant cult propaganda. But it also will give us a photo because we do need that of Elias. This dictionary defines propaganda as information, especially of a biased and misleading nature, used to promote or propose a particular political cause or point of view. But if there is replaced that definition with a picture, it will be a picture of this book. This book tells you nothing new about Elias, and from what you know of his true feelings towards some of his extended family, you're not sure it tells you anything true about Elias either. The issue of this book was so lazy, they reused the famous photo of Elias from Business Watch, whose copyright had expired. Best thing that has going about it is that it's only 85 pages long. So I wonder if it's... So Bess is A. I'm wondering... Okay. So Bess is a shortening name for Elizabeth. And I think I'm not quite sure how I came to this conclusion like a stream and a half ago about how this was the person... Oh, I remember what it was. Because there was a note about a Beth being someone who he might have had an affair with. Where was that? Yeah. What you doing, Gwyneth? Gwyneth was always much kind of Sam, blah blah. Sam also says that someone only wants asked who's Beth because he overheard them yelling about someone with that name. That's her secretary, Elizabeth. So Elizabeth is Bess is also a shortened name for Elizabeth. So I'm wondering if this is the same person, and maybe it could be a coincidence. But I'm gonna do a quick. So, born in the late 1800s, she lived just outside Miami and died tragically in a young hurricane that struck the area in 1926. Oh, that would be... Hang on, that wouldn't make sense then. That's not going to be... Oh, wait, no, maybe not. It's 1921. Minor history of the Roottrees, her only notable book, Funny Man, is widely considered blatant propaganda about Elias. It was all been forgotten until recently until it was reissued during the height of Rootree mania. This was a site dedicated to hurricane statistics that also mentions Bess Williams. The Rockadraw Library, not far from where she lived, was partially destroyed in the hurricane. When they rebuilt, they named the non-fiction section after her. The library expanded again in 1950 and closed in 1963 when multiple larger libraries opened in the surrounding area that made it redundant. Okay. Why don't we do a search of the woman who we suspect having the affair? Had the affair? No. This is... Damn. Okay. I'm just wondering. Because I want to. I don't think we're going to get anywhere with this quite yet, so I'm going to go back to here and see if we can figure this one out. Back to Guy's Infidelity to see if we can get some photos. So we know Susan Ford was the principal of the Grandorf School for the Deaf. Is there any photos of perhaps the opening of the Hudson Wing? Hudson Wing's expansion to the Grandorf Dove, built in 1982. It's a separate, smaller building, half block from the main campus. Named after the president, the Rootree Company generously donated $250,000 towards the construction of the building. I think we have read this. Yeah, that seems like something we've read already, but... maybe if we do Butler County Times and then search Hudson Wing. Crud. Okay, so we have the crime. That her husband did. I wonder if... No. Susan Hughes maybe though? Damn. I think there was also a... So I went by that. No. Yeah, we read that. Okay, so... Let's have another look at this. It's probably come up with the same thing if we look up the founder. Have a search for it as this, see if that's... No, it's the same thing. And there's nothing really we can... We can't really search for Thomas Hughes because as like a side way in. Because I reckon that'll come up with the same thing, right? Yeah. Especially if we do it in the periodicals. It'll just come up with the same crime article. Yeah. Hmm. we searched for Patricia, Guy's wife, at all in this version? Patricia Hudson. Okay. So I went into that. Yeah, that's all they have. Annoying. Okay, so let's have another search on Roottrees everywhere. Let's do Roottrees. Brazil as well. I know we've searched this before, like a few times, but I just wanted to yeah, I know we searched him. Wait, hang on. Sorry, I remember when we searched him, there was a whole thing about a PhD, of someone having doing a PhD on him, and I wonder if we can. Okay, yeah, that's not going to be likely published, which is annoying. Right, and going back to stuff I'm sure I've done before, but like just refreshing and refiguring it out. Do we have anything about that? Nope. Former red selling station in Brazil. we've searched her before, but okay, yeah, obviously that's what we just searched. Pretty dumb. Okay, let's head back to this. Yes, there's clearly going to be a picture of them together. I just need to find it. Civic main here. Bribe is one politician that have been a factory in Brazil. Yes, we know that's obviously Edson. Have we business watched him? Seems like weird that we wouldn't have, but yeah. He wouldn't be in there because he's South American, based in South America. Yeah, I'm beginning to again. We can't look up the place because it just comes up with a cute, like, meta joke, basically. wonder if this is going to be in any, like... No. You know, it's like... Yeah. Okay, well, let's have a look at their company records. Yeah, so that's the travel expenses. I search in the periodicals about Roottrees everywhere in the Business Watch? That might be a thing. I might comment on. Okay, yeah, that maybe in the local. Military everywhere authorities may blip on local news radar. There are very brief mentions here and there when things are announced, but nothing certainly relevant to your search. It seems at the time of the company's expansion, bankers said the Roottrees company in a state of disarray and did not report much detail on their initiatives. This is compounded by the fact that oftentimes the most important deals are happening far from Butler. As far as you can tell, the Butler County Times never even mentioned Guy Hudson by name in any of these articles, but to lump him under the umbrella of Roottrees leadership. Okay, individual people involved in the deals. And we did search for let's have a search for this guy in the periodicals. Business Watch managed to focus on American businesses, but the expansion of Roottrees into Australia did create a blip in 1978. Mentioned that Charles Martin of the legal and leadership teams from Roottrees in 1977 came to an agreement and broke ground on a new factory in 1978. Roottrees' company's statement, said to come directly from the president, was brief and a bit awkward. Roottrees is excited to begin a new adventure down under. We're extremely impressed with Charles Martin and feel his suspension heralds a new era for Roottrees that will last for years to come. Roottrees is founded on family, and Charles's family has also impressed us, especially his daughter Robin. Interesting. And we know she'll come to steer the ship just as Elias Roottrees' family continues to do so here in the USA. So what if we search for her? Robin Martin is mentioned in many of the top 100 wealthiest women in the world list. She owns a private island off the coast of Australia, where she reportedly has her own exclusive retreat. She has no husband, and there was a widely circulated rumour somewhere in the mid-70s that she had a medical procedure to ensure she never would have children. A funny joke on the site called Edgy Jokes, and that implies she's quite promiscuous and has a lunchline involving Robin's eggs. For what it's worth, Martin seems to lean into the rumours. In the 80s, she once showed up at a charity function with 3 very attractive men each wearing a shirt that simply saying "Satisfied Partner" on it. I'm going to give her a search on the Business Watch. Apparently Robin Martin sold off her father's assets in 1992, the year after he died, which combined with her inheritance immediately catapulted her to an almost imaginable level of wealth. The writer at Business Watch who was assigned to report this news seemed to have disapproved of this move immensely. While the article does touch on the announcement of who took over the licorice division as well as what was to come under the maple candy factory, the entire text seems to be dripping with contempt that someone would be willing to dismantle and gut such a successful company to earn a quick buck. The article ends with a dig at Robin's personal life and a lack of traditional values, but who am I to judge? Maybe she sought to ensure a better future for her own children. Oh, wait. Oh, that's some sass on there, right? And so Charles Martin, we probably looked him up, but okay, it's the same thing. Okay, so we've looked at this, and this led us to Lang being someone who he had an affair, guy who had an affair with, we believe. Have we not? What? How did we not search for her last time? That's insane. Lang Jinyu, China family name is first, Lang's the last name, is a businesswoman currently running the Lang Thai textile company. She was recently listed in an article on a website written by and for women. The article entitled Empowered is about a recent rise of women entrepreneurs in China. The article states that due to her lack of brothers, she has a younger sister, Lang Jinyu took over as CEO of her family's company in 1992, after her elderly uncle was deemed unfit to run the company due to mental deterioration. This was apparently an extremely controversial move amongst the company's employees, as some of them, the article does not state how many, quit and wrote a letter stating that she must have coerced him in his vulnerable state. Since then, the company had been performing well. Her nephew, who is currently her second in command, is expected to take over when she retires. In the meantime, the board's stance has been a twist on the popular proverb. The article roughly translates it as, someone that has proven they can do something well can do it 100 times well. An unproven leader could doom us all. The article offhandedly mentions that June was an early adopter of IVF and helped her sister have a child. There's an unsourced picture of Xenu in the article. It says that it's 1982 when she took over. She was 45 at the time. It's been added to evidence. Picture of Wang Xinyu from a recent article about the growth of entrepreneurs in China. Yeah. That's another 4. Yeah! No option entries! Okay, but at least we've made some headway with that. We have 1 affair down. Okay, so do we have, so that was, this is from a Stephen Garland was an author. So it's mentioned in a couple of articles. First was an article about how Mrs. Wife Christine when we looked at Antonellis. A few months ago, listening for weekend cooking classes, got me for the groovy. The bird mentions been giving us to his home kitchen for the last month, so we can keep an eye on his son. The bird was from 1971, local author sued by Butler County residents. And we have looked this up. Right. Yeah, let's see if he's appeared in there. Okay. Okay, so there won't be a photo of him. But there should be a photo of her. What about... Oops. Wait. Hang on. What if... go out to here. What if we search this? in the general search, probably won't come up with anything, right? Nah. Thought maybe there's a chance of something. It's weird, I'm just noticing how like my mic is being picked up and I like just use the mouse. My scroll mouse is really funny. So like it sounds like I'm talking on there when I'm not. It's quite enjoyable. I know we've searched this, hence why it's in our evidence, but I want to just maybe... Yeah. Okay, so why don't we try and take a break from this, see if there is anything we can do about the Elias affair. Or possibly look maybe into Mark Clementine a bit more, about who he married and who his kids are. Because we made some start in there. So why don't we focus on that for a couple of minutes. Right, so then Mark Clementine got arrested. Smuggling reptiles. And he had the... Mark cropped out. Okay, so we know that he has a daughter. Basket Baby in 1950. A few sites about true stories focused on and around religion mentioned in 1950. A gospel singer named Mary was found herself dealing with a real-life baby Moses situation. Apparently she was a rather prominent supporter of the concept of adoption. Someone decided to test how much. They left a baby on her doorstep in a basket. According to the site, she adopted him without question and raised him as her own son. Although it wasn't national news, in many circles he became known as the basket baby, and he even went on tour with her as he grew up. Another website state who the women and baby were, like to prevent people from looking into either people who claim into either people too closely. In Kenton text, you know it's buried with Clementine, who would later be shunned due to her personal life, and their son Mark would later be known as Crocodile Clementine. Is anything in news time about Crocodile Clementine? Can't play spelled right anyway, but News Time did a small piece about a fight between Sims and Crocodile, but tried to approach it from a different perspective. The goal was to paint a picture of the two men involved from others who knew them best. Not only did they manage to interview Sim's wife Carla, as well as multiple staff members at the school, they also hunted down Colleen Webb, Mark's ex-wife. Brilliant. Okay. Now, whether Webb is her maiden name or is another married name she took after divorcing and marrying someone else, who knows? According to section with Colleen, she and he met when he worked for an airline. She worked at the airport newsstand. He was a drinker and often had wild mood springs. When he was charged with assault for a fellow pilot in 1975 and lost his job, they divorced. At the time, she was pregnant with their second daughter, and she actually needed to get out before things got worse. She left and moved to San Diego to live with her sister and told her eldest and that her dad had to fly planes for the army. She raised them both by herself, and although she never went through the trouble of changing their names legally, they used the web name so no one would connect them to their ex-husband. Okay, cool. So, where? I suspect they don't have anything on her aside from this, but if I search Web Sisters, will anything come up? Nah, that would have been too easy. Oh, sorry, it would be crap. No, their last name should be Clementine because it wasn't changed legally. And now I'm just searching the same thing. I just want to check, look at the history of the incident. So, Billy Sims. What if we just do a search for Sandstone High School? Not just high school, just Sandstone Canyon. let's go back to this. I want to have another read. Moved San Francisco to live with her sister. So someone else. What if we do Carla Sims? Will that come up with anything? Carla Sims is very occasional with a small percentage of articles about Billy Sims. Carla seems to be a nickname, although you have no way of being sure. Seems most on the stand for Carlita. Shouldn't seem related to your search in any way. Damn. Okay. Just trying to think of. I mean, used the web no stone connection to her ex-husband, but it kind of happened, I guess, because he showed up at her graduation. Let's go back to this guy. I suspect if we search Colleen Webb, it would come up with the same thing, right? Yeah. And if we look up the school in news time, yeah. that's got no more information. I think the so look at the time. So 1994, she graduates. She graduates high school in 94. I mean, she would be in just have finished college around the time this is taking place. So I'm gonna. So one of these is a. I don't know if that would be the younger one or the oldest one. I have to have another search of the. Yeah, 75. Okay, so they would definitely be. Yeah, so it would be the second one, for sure would have been. That would have been this one here, whose graduation would have crashed. And if I look up his search history again. Let's have a look at here, just in case there's anything. Still come up with. I still have no idea what that could, how to find it. The information we need. There's nothing about Colleen Webb or Colleen Clementine. Okay, I'm gonna have to come back to this because we're kind of feel really stuck. Why don't we? I've been hesitant to do this for the longest time. Let's get a hint. You haven't searched everything on your list of notable events. That's a good place to start. Have I not? So have we... checked. Have we looked up Clark? I think we have. Let's do that then. New president, Roottrees Corporation, early March. Announced that Clark and from Roottrees will be taking over what the century described as a transitional period. The aftermath of 6 pieces. 2 weeks, company released a press statement thanking Ron for his work, but announced that Clark's the new permanent president. It's complex and volatile marital history. Since taking over, Clark's remained trying to make out of the spotlight, but had to have one notable foray in the public eye. They also spot his first statement in favour of accepting Sam and the family into the trust. So the service announcement the clan said trust will be handled by anyone in the family, since due to their financial motivation, none of them could be impartial. That's fair enough. That makes sense. Did I bring the note page up before I do that? I definitely looked up 5Ps. But I'm going to just for the sake of... What? How? What? Hang on. Sorry, what? How did I miss this? I must have read this out and then just like ignored that. Crap. Well, that's a big one. Anyway. Yeah, so that's... yeah. Have we searched Roottrees Mania? Immediately following the announcement that the rapper going by 5Ps is actually a Roottrees. Collectively, popular culture seems to focus on the Roottrees family and 5Ps. For a few weeks before everything felt oversaturated, society moved on. The Roottrees saga, an underlying through line to how pop culture treated Roottrees Mania, was an excuse for everyday people to claim they were also Roottrees. Daytime talk shows O's had either secret Roottrees episodes, late night hosts and guests made jokes about other lost members of the family. There was a widespread shared website you could fill in your own name to find if you were a secret Roottrees. When you submitted your name, someone said no with a Mitch Clark graffiti the Ruger thing. I think I remember this. That's quite funny. And if we search that, will that come up with anything? Nope. Okay, so I guess what's left is the Anonymum then. Okay, she came with slept with guy had sent her daughter to Roottree. The accusation came from during the height of Roottree mania and began with a brief TV interview. She had been challenged with a disguised voice and posted an article about herself in News Time. Okay, well I guess we'll have a search for that. Now, this woman appeared on the cover of News Time holding a picture of her daughter, Jane Doe Roottree. The first and only mention of the phrase Anonymum in News Time came after the week after she ever apology featuring in the first place. Some of the initial cover articles and add to evidence. Then let's do a quick. According to Deaf News, Simon supported Anonymum due to some parts of the story she found particularly credible. Momentum from Sam's endorsement, and went on a media blitz. To make this backfires, more details came out. People became skeptical about the story due to the extreme similarity to 5Ps. Accusation included many of the same details but another story. This is what Sam was talking about when we last spoke to her as well. Roottrees are already been limited as potential new Roottrees by the company's lawyers. I'm going to do a search anyway, just in case. Okay, same thing, right? I say to determine through DNA test that Anonymum's daughter was not Roottrees. This article she referred to came before all that. Right around the time of their Stephen entry. This is a summary. Okay, let's have a proper read. Anonymous woman appeared on the cover of News Time shortly after 5Ps was confirmed to be a member of the Roottrees family. In an homage to the previous cover, she holds a photo of her daughter. Unlike 5Ps, she wished to remain anonymous, and both photos are obscure. The anonymous woman claimed to have had an affair with Guy Hudson while she was working as a secretary. She and another woman were hired at the same time during the transition period, while many of the secretaries that worked under Zach Modern were already gone. She says that she and the other woman were both underqualified and neither had typewriter experience. According to other staff members interviewed, Guy had his own requirements for hiring women. Guy Hudson liked to throw lavish parties, and the longer he was present, the more excuses he found. The anonymous woman posits that these parties were mostly an excuse to have art parties at Guy's home, featuring much more alcohol and other substances. She claimed she slept with him at one of these art parties. She confronted Guy when she found out she was pregnant. Guy didn't seem fazed, and they came to an arrangement. Paid her a significant amount of hush money on a recurring basis under the table. She used it to move away and start a new life for her daughter. When Guy died, the money stopped coming, and she assumed if things had run their course. She went back to work at the department store and hoped nobody would ever look too closely at how she paid for her house. She told everyone that her daughter's father walked out one day and never came back. She claimed after seeing the fantastic article in News Time that she realised that she wasn't the only one this happened to. While she never worked at the Roottrees company at the same time as 5P's mother Joanna, the story seemed eerily similar, and she knew Felix was telling the truth right away. The article presented no tangible evidence to the anonymous woman's time at Roottrees, nor of the payments were allegedly made in cash. Having used the details she provided to the News Time, the reporters were able to reach out to the other woman hired at the same time, who also remained anonymous. They successfully fact-checked the timeline of both women and confirmed the existence of the infamous after parties. 5B's case was strengthened, and this news story was subsequently published. And so is there anything... I don't know what can we take from this. Well, there's nothing apparently according to the other thing. Okay, have we looked at the Roottrees Rift? Three press releases from the Roottrees Candy Company after the release of 6 pieces were photos of Roottrees Rift due to clear conflicts between them. First was fairly standard. It stated that there was no president of the Roottrees Company, but the entire family was made aware of the release of the book and they would be meeting as soon as possible. Only then could they verify the legitimacy of the claims they raised and decide next steps. The second release was emailed to business newspapers 3 hours later. Announced that after a vote, Ron Roottrees would be taking over temporarily as interim president. It also went to state that Ron was aware of the book, verified the claims within, and would be looking into compensating Miss Madsen and the family immediately. It stated that the company lawyers would be taking immediate steps for the family to revisit the Clanstead Trust's terms to make sure nothing like this could happen again. It was quickly clear to business reporters and analysts that the time between the two press releases would not have been logistically sufficient to gather a majority of the family, even using conference calls. This was reported on in many news channels, and a third, much shorter press release came the next day, claimed that a draft of the announcement had been made prematurely, and that Clark Rafferty and Ron Roottrees would be taking over as the company's first joint presidents. It also stated that the compensation plan would be based on a stringent verification process. Oh, that's a lot. Right, why don't we have a look at him in Business Watch? Business Watch ran an article for 2 months after the Roottrees Rift about what really happened with Roottrees. The article mentions that nobody from Roottrees that they reached out to was willing to go on the record. It said the timeline of events has been constructed from public record, accidental leaks, and a source on the inside. The only parts that are new to you are also the most vague parts that are supposedly confirmed by their anonymous source. The timeline says that the family actually held a preliminary vote after Carl Roottrees died, but before the release of 6 pieces, and decided that they wanted Ron Roottrees to take over because of experience running RR Productions and because he was a well-known and well-respected Roottrees. But Ron seemed way too eager and too personally motivated. They were worried he would gut the Clanstead Trust to remove Robbie Roottrees. The family was notoriously unwilling to do anything that could risk their wealth. They stalled, and Ron became frustrated with the delay. When 6 pieces came out, and he saw his chance to force action while the family was still in the limelight, and released a press release to attempt to get the ball rolling faster. This caused chaos within the family. They tried to save face by allowing Ron to take over as co-president of Clark, but according to Business Watch's source, Ron was impossible to deal with. He seemed like he was unwilling to protect the Clanstead Trust, and they eventually let him go. After that, the role passed solely to Clark, who no one was excited about, but seemed like the safest choice. So what has he done since then? Doesn't particularly. I'm gonna have to. Minds and your evidence grow the most important people, and events from the last investigation. Who mentioned is Caroline Morden. She seems like someone who was spoken about everything going on. Interesting. Okay. After release of 6 pieces, Caroline Morden did a television interview. Someone has uploaded a partial transcript of the interview on the television section of the messaging community. Transcript is only her answers and missing the questions. It's created a somewhat confusing reading experience. It does give you a bit more history about Caroline and some of her family members. Thanks for having me. I never really fit in the family, so it didn't surprise me. She could have put me in if she wanted to talk about the time during my activism days when I almost got arrested for stealing the spark plugs out of all the tractors, but I don't really think it hit a narrative. Assuming that's reference to Sam? Yes and no. They've never tried to kick me out or send me to live on a farm. That's what we mean. But I was really pretty unpopular, and once everyone learned why I'd lost my husband, a few people paid me any attention. She's my wife, not legally, but we've been together for about half our lives. Call it what it is. I was 20 and just had my daughter. I hate to look back on that time because I was a terrible mother the first few years. I left my daughter with my ex-husband and followed a guy in a private jet to Europe. He lost a tooth and a client. I found love in a better understanding of who I was. Still, in our family's eyes, his trip was somehow more acceptable. Explain that. Interesting. So she went to Europe with Guy. No, I couldn't stand him. My family wrote off his behaviour like he was some huge fan of romance or women, but he didn't like the entire woman. It was doubly awkward for me because he was more supportive than most. Slowly figured out because he assumed I would be as shallow as he was. He was a workaholic. He seemed nice enough and did a good job. I didn't know him well. That was one of Sam's problems with our family. None of us did except Carl. Honestly, I get why she's pissed. I'd rather not speak ill of the dead, not unless you want more stories about Guy. With Carl though, all I say is we used to be friends before they sent him to private school. He came back a lot judgier. Made sense when they made him president. He was a lot like my father after they disciplined the fun out of him. After I started protesting the farms, he stopped returning my calls. Well, he's hard to label. When I was a teenager, he was basically drunk or high or both, all the time. He actually used to sell me pot. His problems with women were different than guys, but he never really judged me. I guess he knew it would be pretty hypocritical to judge anyone for anything. Back then he was destructively unreliable in every way, but nowadays he's just kind and boring and old. Throw that to how he used to be, and Guy and Kyle, but it's still a cautionary tale. I hope I'm never that old and boring. Assume that's Clark she's referring to. And then it's Carl, and then okay, he lost a tooth and a client. Interesting. So what's the name of... So Caroline... Followed by a guy on a private jet to Europe. Lost a tooth client, found better love. So what was Caroline's wife called? Okay, Eloise, but we didn't get a last name for her, which is frustrating. Oh, yeah, no, because he went to Europe. He was, guess that lost you from the client. That was when he, like, punched Tristan, what's his face? Or Tristan punched him. They basically had a fight. I really don't have to look up another hint again, but I might have to. I'm going to do news time. I'm going to look her up. It's annoying. Yeah, that's fine. Fine. Okay, searching Lauren might be... Really? Rig 6 pieces released long Roottrees was tracked down by reporters as being one of the most upscale memory care facilities in Pittsburgh. She relocated back to Pennsylvania when she began suffering from Alzheimer's. There was a minor backlash towards the report that tracked Lauren down because they were caught standing on a ladder and holding their camera over the privacy wall to take a photo of Lauren and her son Clark sitting on a bench outside near a small pool on the premises. That small pond on the premises. Let's do a news time for Lauren. It might be under Roottrees, it might be under Rafferty. It's just all feels a bit like... Oh, it's because I put Marine. Single Paget's focus on potential affairs in her immediate family. You've added the rest of your evidence. In a diary entry entitled Cruelty from Lauren's Diary in 1963. Focus on the relationship to her mother and father. While often redundant information during a previous investigation, it mentions this time and such affairs that may be more useful this time around. I am no stranger to true love. Jacob and I married at an age that most deem unfit for marriage. He was also enlisting at an age that most deem unfit for war. We had no choice. I knew in my heart that our marriage was one for the ages. He and I would still be together today if it wasn't for Okinawa. That was nearly 20 years ago, but there is still an emptiness in my soul. I should understand my contemporaries. So many girls I went to school with have taken multiple lovers. So many of my girlfriends' husbands have been unfaithful. If I am to remain true to the ghost of a man, with no chance of physical or reciprocation, no potential for long conversation, how could it be so hard to love someone you can reach out and touch, someone you can joke with? I've not had to deal with such madness at home. My parents are a perfect match. In the worst way. My mother's cruelty is a perfect fit for my father's general spite. In turn, Pop's status isn't able to her insistent need to gloat and feel superior. I have grown up with their cruelty and disdain for others my entire life, even my family unspared. They make fun of my grandpop and his family, he sayings. Broil is thicker than syrup, but nothing's thicker than Elias. They mimic Grandma Gwyneth's lisp and see her kindness as a weakness. Elias, please remember Tom. Not even our family's melodies and religion go unmocked. Remember, God but only put one eye in miracle. I can say without doubt in my mind that my parents have never had eyes for anyone else outside their marriage. Their true self-centered look astray. Interesting. Is that the case though? So please remember Sam, let down finality and religion were unlocked. Go ahead and put one eye miracle, which is very mean. Obviously, this would link to the Elias affair. But don't. Is there anything else from any of the old evidence that would be really beneficial to us here? So, track down Barry Potts being one of the most upscale memory care facilities in Pittsburgh. She has Alzheimer's. it's. I mean, it claims that he doesn't have an. That Elias doesn't have an effect, which I feel, which obviously isn't the case because he clearly does. Didn't mean to do that. And okay, right. Any evidence from your initial still available? So archived evidence. Each time is a dissolved single from the correct group C and J, J and D. So any old evidence from here that would be useful now? What is that? Soon goes by Patrick, a letter full of innuendo to an unknown gentleman who she is clear she had romantic history with. Patch is brought by the book's author to have been Patricia Christensen, a daughter of the owner of Christensen Steel. Her name is Pat, and Patricia was in her mid-20s when the letter was written, was married to an older man of notable status. Definitely not to him. There are also a few passages. And a mention of a daughter leading Tina Angelina theorized that the letter was written to the father of a child she had society in some way. And to mention of a twisted twin that seems to evoke imagery from twisted literature. Oh, well, that's obviously referencing the EC and Elias and EC and the other one, the twins. That, yeah. I just don't know how. How relevant some of this is going to be. I wonder if we search for Miracle Jr. Because we have Miracle's got stuff in his past. Okay, same thing. Have I spelled it correctly? Alright, okay. So there's a very useful website in the last investigation when it's been updated. Yeah, they probably did, right? What if we search the Roottrees curse? Ooh, interesting. During initial search, you came across Thomas Overwood's conspiracy page about the Roottrees. 8 months later, the page still exists and thriving. Visitor counts reached 7 digits. Many old articles have been replaced. It seems that the recent uprising in Roottrees news left Thomas Overwood with a constant stream of events to base new theories on. More than one of his old pages involved Roottrees deaths being faked. According to Overwood, statistically, when we look at this, when you have this many high-profile people who have died in the family, the odds are that one of them faked their death. It's just math. This newfound focus on death faking seems to coincide with a post mentioning that he's begun believing the guy's not dead theory. In his own words, my eyes have been opened and this is beginning to make too much sense. One of his posts details the belief that Ron Roottrees is still in charge, Grim Roottrees' death was faked, and that Clark is only there to throw people off. Apparently this allowed Ron to travel to France to develop their new Candy recipe in secret. It never is about the rapper 5 piece. He can't possibly be the Roottrees. One of his first album songs was performing under the devil name actually mentioned he wanted to have sex with Raina. Not even Sam Madsen is bad. According to Overwood, the author of 6 pieces isn't real. Sam Madsen is an anagram for Am Madness. They're purposely leaving hints for us. Funny. It claims that by using 6 pieces of Ron Roottrees' book as a one-time pad, he has begun to decrypt a cipher. Most of the ciphers seem meaningless, but he managed to pick up the words people and vastness to work and figure out what it means. Just a request at the bottom. Next year is the leap year, and Overwood is looking for funds and volunteers to catch the Roottrees red-handed Operation RT-29. Specifically mentions not to volunteer if you ever drink Spirit Cola. Let's just go into why. Well, I'm intrigued now. No, damn. That was fun. Guy's not dead. Guy's Not Dead conspiracy stems from a website that focuses on the clues that Roottrees have supposedly hid all over the place. This includes on candy wrappers, in print advertising, in television commercials, in their jingles, etc. The story, according to the website, is that Guy Hudson was a terrible president of the Roottrees company, which I don't think is that's not a conspiracy, and introduced multiple failed products. Something needs to be done that would put the consumers, put the company immediately and instantly back in favour of consumers. So they call off Guy Hudson and replace him with new president. This move immediately garnered sympathy, and the company recovered the next year, more popular than ever. The next president stayed much further out of the limelight, and some people even theorized that he had simply Guy Hudson in an elaborate disguise. Interesting. That's insane, but okay. The people who run the site are asking for help. They're certain that there's a clue to all this that accidentally leaked in a banned article from the magazine in Piketty. They're on their pages to scan the magazine's cover, the interview with Cicely Sanchez about Guy Hudson, and photos. You add them to your evidence. This is an interview with Cicely Sanchez, an author. She was hired to write a book about Guy Hudson. You claim to have paid off a significant amount to write a book about one of the Roottrees, Guy Hudson. He was president for a short period at the end of the 1970s. He's right. Yeah, I met him on New Year's Eve actually. Last night, 1978. Guy liked to throw big parties, and I was just coming off of Changed Man, looking for my next project. Is that worth looking at? No, I'll put it in that. When his wife learned who I was, she invited me to the party and they called me to talk about a book. This was the first time anyone recognized me for my work. I finally made it. The book they asked me to write sounded great, but then the stuff that made him interesting was allowed to stay. Chop, chop, snip, snip, anything that's slightest threat to Guy's image ended up gonzo. What was something interesting? As core, Guy was not complicated. In fact, I think I boiled down 2 traits. First, he wanted to be seen as the second coming of the great Elias Roottree, and the second, he'd never been satisfied living the life he needed to be seen that way. He had his fortune and good looks, but he really liked to exploit that to pick up women. But he couldn't let anyone else know, so it cost him a lot to cover it up. That was the only interesting aspect of a Guy. He was James Bond trying to convince people he was Mr. Rogers, I guess? Mr. Rogers? Really? Well, maybe that's not the best metaphor, but Elias Roottree was boring as all hell and all about family. Guy did everything he could to be seen that way. After I submitted my first draft, he sent me this garbage book, The Roottrie Legacy of Elias, on the cover. I'm going to add that to my notes. Last time he and I met, he even switched out his orange suits for the same green ones Elias wore. Remember fancy flavours? Guy knew that part of Elias' legacy was the 5-piece flavours. That's what Guy had tried to do. Caviar was a disaster here. It was actually somewhat not popular in Brazil for whatever reason. Christmas 1979, he went to Brazil to open the Roottrie Brazil factory. Guy was hopping around the world trying to recreate that success. So how come the book never came out? It's complicated. I had an out of my contract. Surprisingly, Guy signed the contract my lawyers wrote without running it by anyone in his legal department. I could pull my name off the book at any time, but Guy still got the content. After I left, it probably got a lot harder to convince any real publisher to give it their time. Change to the next page. He was the president, right? Do you know why he never released it himself? If I had to guess, his family wisely put a stop to it. Mid-1981, months after I'd already moved on, he called me back and showed me a final draft. Do you know how expensive it is to publish one copy of a book? It had my name on it in big, shiny embossed letters. Like all the problems in his life, throwing money at me was his attempt to win me back. But it had half the page count and the narrative was torn to bits. No thanks. Dinner was good. Reported steak that cost as much as a month of my mortgage, and we all got pretty drunk. He sent his mistress, Susie something, into the bathroom to proposition me. Poor girl. I remember her from our trips overseas. She was too good for him. Anyway, he died soon after, and that was the last to ever hear him up. Again, so that will confirm Susan Ford, right, as one of his people he had an affair with. Which we kind of knew already, but it's fine. What can you tell us about the family? Any insight in the scandals come from the recent book by Sam Madsen? I actually haven't read it. I just skimmed the sections on Guide to see why people were suddenly calling me up to ask about Mam. I'd say she did well for what she had to work with. She only had rumours, whereas I had spent time tailing him. Sometimes he knew, sometimes he didn't. He invited me to join them when dealing with Roottrie Brazil, but I actually had people on him when he went to Australia, France and China too. When he met with someone, I'd figure out who they were and how they were involved. Doubly, he served the meeting happened when he didn't want me around. So I despite his best efforts, got the whole truth, including things even his family never knew. For example, the daughter of his business partner in Australia, I think her name was Robin. He and she definitely spent a few nights together that he didn't want his family to know about. But I did. Interesting. But that's not one of the affairs, though. We know that. Sam mentions Guy's affairs and treats them like most people would logically think to treat them. Like the infidelity was a problem for Patricia. When his wife first approached me, though, it wasn't talk, if you get my meaning. On paper and in public, it was a marriage like any other. But But in reality, it was much more of a mutually beneficial arrangement. They both got what they wanted at the same thing. What was that? I'm assuming I only have to spell it out to you so you can get it in writing for your readers. Women. Patricia enjoyed the company of women, and the swinger scene made that much more accessible. I told her I wasn't interested in her and Guy. I found out later if I said yes, the next question would have been whether or not her husband had actually been there. Actually had to be there too. Guy, on the other hand, was seen in a traditional marriage, and at the same time could date any woman that found him charming. I can assure you, that was exactly the type of marriage he was interested in. Interesting. There's a bit of a red herring about the Robin. I mean, there's obviously an affair, but nothing that leads to another Roottrie. Is interesting about Patricia though. This photo is the first from a magazine interview with Cicely Sanchez and Piketty. The picture of Piketty magazine it came from was pulled from the shelves, but you managed to find it online. Piketty does not label its individual photos. Both photos are instead with the shed label. Cicely has provided these photos by the Roottrie Company for use in her book. In the background of the photo, there is a Christmas tree. Okay, so I wonder so I reckon because there was a thing about in the I think it was in 6 pieces maybe no isn't there there's a thing about him going to Brazil at Christmas. I want to see if I can find it just to double check that because I reckon this is Nia and this is Edson and then that'll be Susie. And that'll be Christine. Photos from the first magazine for an interview with Cicely Sanchez and Piketty. The issue of Piketty itself was pulled from the shelves. He does not label its individual photos, blah blah blah. So I think, based on what I was just saying about how he was in Christmas in Brazil in the 70s, I think that's Sonia. I think this is his interpreter, and that's Edson. And then these just other photos of Guy. Oh, and this is going to be Christine. Nice. Right, so we've got all his Guy's affairs in order. Quite literally.
Hey there, it's us. So, I just have to say, the work you're doing here is fantastic.
So fantastic, in fact.
There goes Clark. Always the bad cop. Go ahead.
Well, our law firm, Ruby Legal Enterprises, is having trouble keeping up.
But have them come over and I'll show them the big board.
They're actually begging us to stop submitting new Roottrees. They said it's getting difficult to verify your progress.
Well, consider that a good thing. I told Clark you'd get results.
She says that like I didn't believe her. Regardless, the bad news is it's gonna take 5 potential tree additions before anyone locks in from now on. Good luck.
And keep up the good work.
Great. Okay, well that's all sorted then. to look up the whole Elias mess. There's a lot there. As well as Mark Clementine. I think Mark Clementine's daughters. And nothing in our evidence now is going to be. Yeah, that's all. But what was the book? The book was The Roottrees Legacy. Okay, so it's the family man. Okay, brilliant. That's of course. Don't know why I didn't put that together because we only looked at that like 2 hours ago. It's fine. And we definitely we searched for her. Well, let's do a search for Gwyneth, his wife. Anderson, because that was her maiden name. Yeah, we definitely read that. Roots. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at the evidence again. Where Is there anything? We'll have another look at 6 pieces. Let's not forget about Sam, which was something that was in the Ron's notes. Licensed head secretary called Elizabeth. I'll make sure it's not the same person. No, this isn't really relevant anymore, but yeah, it's. Looking periodicals for an Elizabeth Ravens Where. I wonder if is there another. I feel like I've looked at this already, but it's one of maybe. I know that's the name of the author, and I feel like I've looked at it before, but I know I did earlier today, but I just want to have another. Let's have a look at that library then. If anything comes up there. I can't believe we didn't like. Exists by mobilizing the area according to the website for the library system in Miami, the building where once that is now the Miami Print Museum. Search for Miami Print Museum, you come across their website. It takes hours and list of exhibits. The building is very small, admissions free, and they have room for a few different displays. One of the exhibits is in their courtyard, which is a fountain, and as well as a statue of an unknown author. Pictures and add your evidence. They have a printing ink press that was used by the Miami Sunday, an out-of-print weekly newspaper. We've asked of the original print. Asked the original print of Cuba by Cubans, an art book. I wonder if There's no record you can find online or in any periodical. Its major never and became the Miami Mercury Sunday. Lasted a year from 1940 to 1950. Finds a website about the quirky printing history facts that mention that Miami Mercury Sunday was one of the outcome of two major small newspapers. This was often one larger failing newspaper, which is only notable to the author because of combining names the way he did. It was the longest title of an American newspaper at the time, with a newspaper in Jefferson, Texas. Oh, I can't look at what that is. I don't. It's not relevant, but basically, when you wrote a newspaper called Jefferson, Jimpercute. It's where you can tell nobody who'd been investigated lives in Texas. Oh gosh, darn it! There's a statue in front of the Miami Museum. Is set in the courtyard, and according to the site, is said to be of unknown author. I've just got this really weird, like, feeling that Elizabeth, who I had the affair with, is the same Bess Williams who wrote the propaganda book about him. So I'm going to possibly although it doesn't really help. Yeah, because there's a tribute in the non-fiction section after her. To Elizabeth Williams. Look at the library. This won't be really relevant, I don't think, but first glance doesn't seem to be related. Doesn't seem related. But I'm gonna search it anyway. Second glance, it still doesn't seem related to search anyway. Well, it's worth a shot. Alright, Okay, is there any there won't be anything about him in here. And I want to Mercury Sunday. That's the year, which is obviously not going to be helpful. What did that say? Let's look at our archived evidence. I know we've got the book in our evidence, but I'm going to see if I know it's. Okay, I think this might... I feel like the... Sam saying, speculating that he had a secretary called Beth, I think might be a bit of red herring. I'm still fairly convinced it's Bess Williams, who he had the affair with. But I can't... Oh, I don't want to take another hint, but I might... It's been a very useful website in the last investigation, if it's been updated. I mean... I feel my evidence... The useful website. What was the useful website? We haven't checked. Have we checked Clarity Watch since the update? Just in case anything on Miracle has been mentioned. Nope. Okay, cool. Okay, that's better data, which is great. Seems Miracle Senior is going on the new tour of the United States in late 99. The previous 3 generations of Miracles has been replaced. Be part of history. The oldest living Roottrees reprises and retells his incredible story. Miracle Roottrees grew up as part of one of the famous 5 pieces, living a life of wealth and luxury. Fortune was nothing compared to the powerful of the Almighty. Doctors determined he was destined to die young, but he had different plans. But they had different plans, sorry. He lived a long and fruitful life. However, he's now in the 70s, and his age is beginning to make life on the road more difficult. So consider your last chance to see him in the town before you set back down in Pennsylvania. In this intimate evening, Miracle reminisced about his famous history. He'll discuss his family's saints and sinners, provide a unique perspective on one of the most notable families in the United States today. Learn what originally drove him away from his fortune into the arms of religion, and learn how his life has become much more wealthy in spirit than ever could have been from his inheritance. So lists the churches that are appearing and mentions tickets can be purchased like services. Notably absent are any mentions of Miracle's new appearances. So what useful website they're meaning? Like, President Chris Rafferty found him using the email. Oh shit, yeah, of course. Yeah, right. Why didn't I think about that? That'll be in my here, and that'll be in reminders. Rafferty's prodigy site seems to have been discovered by the masses. Go on the art pictures of his cousins and set it to the list of questions people keep hearing him. The direct ones are the following: are you the son of Clark Rafferty? Yes, but I didn't grow up with him. I remember him from when I was a little kid, but I moved away with my mum when I was very young. We left Pennsylvania and moved back to Virginia. We lived there with Pete, my stepdad. My dad and I spoke a few times when I was... I found his phone number on the check he sent us in the mail when I was 15. He was happy to hear from me, and now he calls me once a month. He came to visit me at college. He tells me things I don't remember, and people like Guy Hudson and Emily Madsen. My dad and I get along, but obviously we aren't very close. Don't the Roottrees? We used to know the Roottrees, but never the sisters. I was in the office sometimes when I was a kid, and I definitely met Guy Hudson before he died, and I don't remember. My memory is weird. It's hard to know what I actually remember and what I think I do because I have pictures. For example, I have a photo of when I was 5 and in the office with my dad and Guy was there. I made myself sick by eating chocolate and some woman I don't know cleaned my face. I don't know if my memories of that come from the picture or not. Photos have extra evidence. How do you have proof of Amy Manson's heart condition? I knew Riley had a heart problem because my dad told me on one of our phone calls. I asked him about the poison because I saw it on the Roottrees Curse website. And he emailed some old stuff including the proof, but even with the proof the website didn't take it down. You spelled fiancé wrong. I'm not good at spelling or writing. I'm good at painting and other art. I'm going to school to learn how to edit movies. I want to make cartoons someday. Lulu is much better at spelling. Okay, Guy, presumably, that's Clark. I don't know who the woman in the photo is. I think, is that gonna be, I think that's Susan. Isn't actually that helpful. I mean, it fills in like some stuff, but need the other thing to find Clark. Yeah, it's because none of the other women have like extra photos, so it has to be her. So, I mean, it's helpful, but it's not helpful because it doesn't really help. So I'm going to have to get another hint because I have no idea where to go with this. The events mentioned that outside legal group was brought in. That sounds interesting. That's true. I think we did look them up before. Yeah, because he mentioned Clark and Sam mentioned this about the Ruby Legal Enterprises is the name of the law firm company that has been hired by the Roottrees Accounting Company. The company is named after their head lawyer, Ruby Spratt. You can't find much about the company from before this year, although all the articles tell the same fate. After the fiasco of 6 Pieces and the revelation that the Roottrees internal law group was complicit in such a cover-up, they hired outside counsel. The Ruby Legal Group now seems to have ties to multiple aspects of the Roottrees Corporation, including the Candy Company and Root. They're recently in the news due to a high-profile law they raised against Cicely Sanchez, who we know from the Guy Hudson affair, who wrote that book about them, which presumably probably relates to that. Oh, that's funny. She went to Mid-Eastern, of course she did. Reese Rat, like a legal company, is relatively elusive. The most complete source of information find from before her time, which is from a website for a magazine owned by a major airline. Oh, interesting. That links that might link with Mark Clementine a little bit. Anyway, she was subject to one article from a recurring series of modern-day success stories. Ruby grew up in foster care, but excelled at school and entered scholarship to study at Mid-Eastern University. There, she graduated at the top of her legal class and was quickly hired as a lawyer for a prominent firm. There are a few high-profile involved cases that she was a part of. One was a legal consultant for a class action lawsuit against the manufacturer of steering wheel covers. Another was to help a local gas station chain in her hometown of Portland with the rollout of a promotion that allowed gas customers the ability to bet on the price of gas. Lowe ends up calling her new form of double threat. Her company services are a cross between a traditional lawyer and a PR company. I wonder if I search for her in the Mid-Eastern, the Herald. Graduated top of her class from Mid-Eastern's legal college. Her lecturing speech was somewhat controversial at the time, as it was quite serious, with a heavy focus on wealth inequality. It didn't go over well with predominantly middle to upper class audience attendance. The editor of the Herald, Times of Ruby, unsatisfied with her simply earning a place at Mid-Eastern with a full scholarship, went on to captivate her audience with appears of a perfect GPA. It felt like the ideal occasion for a celebration of a dancely incredible individual. However, at the end of the speech, there were many in the audience that wished neither of those events had transpired. Passionate attempt for her soapbox to proselytize her fellow students and their parents into the religion of poverty, but unfortunately, judging from the silence, they remain unconverted. Okay. I mean, So, in her hometown of Portland, I wonder... And this is very, very much wild speculation. I wonder if she's related to Colleen. I wonder if she's Colleen's sister. So I wonder if I did... No. Damn. Okay, like Rafter Lewis, Ruby Spratt and the company Ruby Legal Enterprises were featured in Business Watch after the company took over as keeps of the Client Safe Trust. That's about the process that interviews both Clark and Ruby. It seems that Ruby actually approached Roottrees sometime in late March after the Roottrees rift. When the company were every low-profile lawyer, she offered to work for a little money as long as she could be a public face to build her reputation. Family quickly jumped on this chance, as many family members often attempt to spend as little as possible. Looking at the Clancy Trust more carefully than anyone had in years, we came to the conclusion that the Clancy Edward Roottrees implementation was not legally sound, and there would be constant legal challenges about small modifications. They decided to put in charge of the trust, both legal and as a public face to prevent further issues. Blah blah blah. Next, drivers and extreme law firm and PR firm. First move, start the trial run was to help them draft a public statement accepting Sam to the family. Officially hired her in April. Okay, Ruby Legal is now in charge of many financial aspects of the company, including verifying any claims to trust, organising the various charitable causes, as well as scholarships that have been set up in the name of the deceased. Okay, so... I think I'm gonna take a second. I'm just gonna take a minute and then just for a short break, and I'll be right back. Maybe just sort of clear my head a little bit, and we can come back to this because I'm still struggling where this lands. So we'll be right back. Alright. Sorry, I'm just doing a hi chew because I was really hungry and needed something. Sorry about that, guys. there was a lot more trivia on mic than I was expecting, because I was like, well, I'm not gonna broadcast that. Let's be somewhat professional. So I did a quick look up Ask the Rubber Duck for a hint, and they mentioned, and it was something that we did kind of note, and for some reason I didn't think to go into it, how recently involved with the high profile against Cicely Sanchez, who wrote the unpublished book about Guy Hudson. And I saw it, I commented on it and said, oh, that's probably to do with that. Didn't think to delve deep into it because I thought it wasn't going to be relevant, but I'm guessing it probably is. Yep. A best known for Portrait of a Changed Man, released in 1979. Follow-up Foreign Gospel did not perform as well, or critically, but sold quite respectively. She has written a few more books since then, including a biography of Van Gogh. Yeah. But her first two are going to fame. I keep mispronouncing it's Van Gogh. Actually, really, it's Dutch. I think it's supposed to be like Van Gogh, but everyone's pronounced it Van Gogh, so whatever. According to Cyber, author Cicely is known for a non-fiction with a focus on exploring darkness within the human and psyche. Recently, Cicely appeared in a magazine called Piketty with an article about a book she had commissioned direct for Guy Hudson. The magazine and Cicely herself immediately issued a cease and desist due to inclusion of pictures that she never had the rights to publish. The issue was pulled from the storage shelf, making it an instant collector's item, which we took and we used as reference, which has been really helpful. Let's have a look at these. And a print. Worth everything you stand for, everything you know to be true. Today's experience instant. Or your politics, relationships, blink of an eye, and would you still be you? You'll be able to put it down, but wondering what if that were me. And he woke up from being saved from drowning in his backyard pool and became an entirely different person, including interviews from those who knew him best, with one-to-one chat that paints an entirely different picture. Foreign Gospel could be interesting. Tells of a man from the Catholic Church who claims he was told by God that he should travel to Thailand and began to preach, specifically with the goal to convert 10,000 people. He returned to the United States just over 2 years, claiming to have succeeded. This book tells his version of the story, but the author Cicely Sanchez also travelled to Thailand to investigate these claims and talk to some of the so-called converted. But it's still not. I hate that I'm having to constantly go to the hints. Yeah, I know. Don't have that as a... I guess I have to do Piketty magazine. Kind of just like skipping through this, just sort of like, because I know this stuff that we've already kind of gotten in. I'm pretty sure this is anything new that I really need, but I don't think there is. Yeah, cool. So let's try and finish off this one then. Yeah, where we have been covered though, that's the thing. I mean, if it's a maybe, if it says something about popular culture, maybe. It's about gossip and stuff, so yeah, I guess. So do report on that. You gain a few minutes of information that might be useful. These instruments arrested for throwing Molotov cocktail at a company that was said to be participating in projects on animals. This paper crocodile Clementine Bear was paid for by Tostarito Jacobson. It was fairly expensive. Picture of the other students who were at the event to find out. Maybe knew anything. The word going around was that Mark Clementine showed up because his daughter Mary was graduating that night. Right. So we have a name now. That's good. We might be getting somewhere. Who is Tostarito Jacobson? Used to be named Lucinda. Fuegas Fiesta, a regional Mexican fast food chain, held a competition in 1993 that offered free meals for life for anyone who illegally changed their name to Tostarito. Fuegas Fiesta was Tostarito Jacobson used to be named Lucinda. Okay, I really like that. That's very funny. Very irresponsible, but very funny. I wonder if Chef Signature has a thing on them. Boo. Well, let's look. I just have this wild feeling they may be related somehow, which I think is very funny. Tostarito, I doubt they'll have. Unless she went by. Yes, that's a married name. And she is his daughter. me do Lucinda Clementine. And Webb. Yeah, that would have been... So if we just search this, I assume it'll just come up with the same results, right? Yeah. We did search. Yep. Okay. And there's no way we can like search up your name changes in like San Diego or whatever. I'm gonna have to yep. That would have been a sensible thing to do. Instead of just going down a complete other rabbit hole, forgetting about that entirely. Mary Webb in San Diego has a website called Web on the Web. Apparently it's a personal travel diary that also doubles as she's a travel agent. The descriptions of Mary's services including booking flights and cruises, and almost all of them seem extremely niche audiences. It seems Mary is the #1 agent when it comes to booking spiritual vacations aboard ghost ships and specific hotel rooms that are said to be haunted. She also has a dedicated section for more traditional modern cruises that cater to specific groups, such as fans of boy bands. Diary, she talks about the trip she's personally taken, uses it as an opportunity to feature descriptions of amenities and excursions that the ships offer, even when you're on and see a specific band or ghost. There are also pictures of ships, hotels, landmarks, in places she's visited, as well as a picture of Mary herself with the ship in the background. One of the diary entries actually mentions the day the photos were taken. She was allowed onto the ship on Port David in San Diego with a professional photographer she knows. A photo of Mary has been extra evidence. Okay. From a website, Web on the Web, paranormal travel agency. She apparently found niche booking vacations in niche booking vacations for lovers of strange and unknown. This is a photograph of Mary in front of an alleged ghost ship from the 1800s. It was lost at sea and turned up without any crew several years later. Nobody knows exactly what happened. Fans love to tour it and come up with their own paranormal theories. Company called Corporate Composition Photography is listed on top left. I'm going to have a search for that in a second. I'm just going to shove that photo there and travel agents. Oh yeah, that'll be. Guys, I'm very tired. Corporate Composition Photography is a photography studio that is listed for several different listed on different sites within this in San Diego. It seems to have been possible to hire them for take professional quality photos for businesses of all sorts. As far as you can tell, no longer seems to exist. The company also mentioned a photography site with some IRC chat logs. It seems like this site is a personal page of a number of an IRC photography channel. They have archives of logs they've been saving since 1993. One of them is from 1996 from Val, the former head photographer in corporate composition photography, to a Q&A of the users about taking photos of promotional materials and print ads. Most of the questions answered are pretty technical, do not only seem irrelevant but generally go over your head. One of the questions, however, that Val mentioned that Val was on the cover of a telephoto and asks about a rack. The question was quickly shut down by the person running the Q&A, who says, as Val does not wish to answer any questions from his photojournalism days, nor does he wish to talk about LBP. Please keep this on the subject of commercial photography. LBP. Who's LVP? What's... If anyone with I wonder if I go into actually maybe I want to just search Val, but I think that's too, it's obviously too vague. I could look at telephoto, I guess. Give that a search. It's photography magazine. Cool. And then we want the Val, I don't know. Results: Lebanese pound, also lira, low back pain, lead-based pain, low blood pressure, reasonable of pharmacy, Long Beach Peninsula. Spinners also have the acronym LBP. Your right results include. I reckon it's going to be photography based, right? It'll have to be, or maybe luxury bridal photography. Let's give that. It's photography, yes, it's a good start. Since unfortunately it seems it's located in Ireland, there's no owner's name. I guess that's his real name. Right, so LBP. Sorry, LBP. It mentions Val and the wall-bearing photography on the page. There's a there's a wall-bearing photography on the page. It's a business in Beacon, New York, and its site is a picture of a baby and a camera capturing Cameron Lincoln reaching for his namesake. Gets 6 off his father, Val. So it's a Val Lincoln. Val Lincoln. It's featured in telephoto. The cover, which features one of his photos, is both pushed as called and adds to evidence. Telephoto is photography magazine. It's 92 photos of Val Lincoln. A photography went overseas during Desert Storm. When the Secret World photojournalist photo on the cover. Got a start in high school when he took a photography class because he couldn't decide what else to do. It'd be the best career in the world. Thought it'd be the best career in the world to shoot for Playboy. But he quickly found he had a knack for it and began to skip lunch in his free periods to spend more time in the darkroom. After graduating, he tried to pivot to landscape photography, but didn't have a passion for it. I worked much better when trying to tell the story of a person or an object. He got lucky when a photography mentor of his who was going overseas to travel the world decided to take a chance on him. Most people wouldn't call it lucky to go on an active war zone with no pay, but when he bought my plane tickets, all my meals, and even pulled some strings so he could rush my passport, for someone that had never had a real job or even left California, it was a hell of a break. Val was only 19 at the time, and shot the photo that won him the award on the third night he was there. The photo also depicts Lisa Clementine, who lost an arm in Operation Desert Saber. According to the article, women were not subject to direct combat, and Lisa was in a vehicle at the time. The vehicle had to pull over suddenly when the road ahead was partially destroyed, and she and her fellow soldier were severely injured in a landmine. I ran to Lisa just after her surgery and took the picture. Then, until she shipped out, to find excuses to go back and take more pictures of her. Guess it was fate, because that's a photo that won me an award, got me into a magazine, which led to my engagement. Just earlier this week, she'd become Miss Lincoln. Okay. So that'll be a Lisa. Oh right, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Of course I am. And that would be Val Lincoln. They get married, they have a baby. Oh, but that can't be. Wait. No, that's a picture of Lisa. I don't know why I thought that was a picture of Val. And that's Cam. Get it? Because it's like camera. But we don't know what she does. Oh, I guess she's military. Right, okay. So, I think once we get another... We're going to get another 2 to lock those in. Which is annoying. Because it's going to mean like so much of this needs to get filled in, which is like... frustrating. Because I don't know where to start with this again. So I'm gonna have to get them a hint. You know, he's probably placed from the tree. Yeah, I kind of do though. That's the thing. Yeah, it's well, can I just say military? Is there like a soldier option at the bottom? No. Oh wait, hang on. You haven't put this as baby. Wait, hang on. Unless... yeah, that has to be right. I can't... Yeah. Well, I had a... I've got it. I don't know why it's saying that as a hint. Lisa Lincoln, maybe? Cool. Amity lost limb. She runs a support group of fellow Beacons, veterans in Beacon, New York. 27 Princess is a professor at West Point. Oh, okay. Right. Teaches classes that contribute to the environmental engineering degree. She had a passion for military from a very young age. She erroneously believing that a family member is an Air Force pilot. Oh, that's got a sting when she realised that was a lie. She learned that to be untrue. She had passion remained. She enjoyed ROTC from high school. From there, she enlisted. Returning from Desert Point, she had earned a degree and relocated to West Point a few years ago. Cool. Right, so let's... Yeah, no, I already need that bit, but that's a good... It's a good place to start. I want to get at least one more, like, I want to get the last 5 I want to get 5 locked in before we finish today. And I'm not going to use any more hints unless I really, really have to. Yeah, it's last word. Last in a year, is the outcome emerging 2 failing newspapers. So what if we look up what that is? Perfect. Don't know why I didn't think I'm looking at that before. Right. And then we want Bess Williams. There's the best young son, now an orphan, was in attendance during the dedication. Was later mentioned about a bidding war for the expansion of the library. The bidding was run by Wildcat Construction, including a new statue found in the second room that would double its shelf count. Right, so that also, I think, confirms what I have thought about I think that I think this might be run by her son. Our construction is in some historical records having worked in many buildings in the Miami, Florida area. So where it would be, if we search for the library again, I think that comes up with some stuff about it being redone. Miami Print Museum? No. And if we search for library just in general, probably just had, yep. Message young son, not orphan. And obviously Wildcat Construction doesn't really lead anywhere. I'm going to put Best down here just in case that does something. No. I feel like her legal name would have been. Does that still have? I just mentioned the best of young son, now an orphan, was in attendance during the dedication. Maybe in Business Watch, but it's no. Not Miami Mercury. If we say a hurricane. Okay, yeah, I know. What? I thought I did. Just mentioned earlier in 1947, the line Hunt's constructing a better world. Frank Wildcat Williams, left for in 1941. A construction worker and returned a hero. When the Navy crossed for his bravery and sacrifice and carried a fellow soldier to safety under a heavy Nazi fire. Now he and his wife Ophelia are carrying his fellow soldiers through hard times at home. Wildcat Construction is Frank's company, focused on creating opportunities for soldiers finding difficulty getting back to normal. Ophelia has handled outreach to the wives of local veterans who are able to provide insight into her husband's needs and conditions. She has, through such outreach, found 13 veterans entered the war to serve as Frank's employees. Community support has been unendingly and overwhelmingly positive. It has gotten to the point where Frank bids on a project, other local companies have decided to step back and let the soldiers handle it. This has been a bit of a sore spot for local politicians and business owners, as the bids are often not as low as they expected. The problem for them is that essentially Frank is a selective monopoly, but any attempt to circumvent it has caused an uproar and accusations to be un-American. It's uncertain for now certain what will become of Wildcat Construction, but at least for now, we're rooting for them. Okay, so let's do a quick search for him just in general. So a few different military history websites. We're in Navy Cross. Story goes that even after being struck back in the arm of a bullet, he managed to carry a fellow soldier through enemy territory on his shoulders for over 2 miles. Died in 6, age 1974, a retirement community in Sweetwater, Florida. He grew up in an orphan because his family died in a hurricane. He was right, so he's definitely the son, which is what I suspected. Frank Williams. And that's Ophelia. He grew up an orphan because his father died in Hong Kong when he was very young. He barely remembers his mother and had no memory of his father. After the war, he ran a construction company that mainly hired World War II veterans to other jobs in and around the Greater Miami area. He was born a joker and a shining light to those veterans who need it most. An anecdote mentions that he used to insist on being married and his wife Ophelia as a matter of courtesy and convenience. She wouldn't have to change her last name. Okay, brilliant. So what's her last name? I guess it doesn't really matter as much. Predator attached ranks as youth juggling hammers in front of one of his construction sites, as he was often meant to do. According to the article, he is survived by Ophelia as well as his daughters Barb and Sharon Williams. Okay, so one of them is this one, and then this one was adopted. And he was what's in construction. If we change that back to this, because that's a lot of optional photography. Booyah. So we've only got another 5 to go. I'm tempted to just try and carry on and get this done the next hour. Which, I mean, I don't know if how much time longer it's going to take to do this, but we will try. I mean, we can always look up hints if we have to. Otherwise, I would not. Just then when I'm with like it's finished and okay, why don't we look up Sharon Williams? Oh yeah. That would be too easy. What if we do Barbara Williams? But then she... what if I do search for her in here? Seems she... It was Sharon? And Ophelia didn't change her last name. We don't know what the original name was. No, she went back, but I'm going to... Yeah, that's what I expected. It's not exactly a... rank. Nope. handle outreach to wives of local veterans. I need to get a name of what this okay. So I think, as much as it pains me to say it, I think we're going to have to call it for today there. I think we will come back to this. I'll come back to this at some point next week. A little bit more refreshed, a little more ready to crack these last few Roottrees. So thank you for joining me for the stream today. I'm very looking forward to getting this sorted next time. I mean, these will probably take a while to do unless we go through a bunch of hints, which I don't really want to do, to be honest. So we're going to come back to this next time, I think, for what will be the last Roottrees stream, and then that'll be October, so we can do some spooky games after that, which will be cool. So I hope you can join me for that. Thank you for joining me for the stream today. Whether you're joining for the whole thing or whether it's 5 minutes or anywhere in between, I really appreciate you hanging out. And as always, au revoir, baby.